Hollywood is shaking once again. Just when fans thought the storm around Outlander had finally settled, a brand new wave of headlines has exploded across social media, and right at the center of it all stands one man, Sam Heughan. From mysterious messages spotted on set to tense whispers involving Caitriona Balfe and director Tony McKill, the story unfolding behind the cameras is more intense than any scene written for television. So, what really happened tonight? We take you deep into the rumors, revelations, and raw emotions surrounding one of Hollywood's most talked-about stars, the man fans call their Highland hero, Sam Heughan. The world of Outlander has always been a storm of passion, heartbreak, and destiny. But this time, the drama isn't confined to the screen. It's real, raw, and shaking Hollywood to its core. Fans across the globe woke up to headlines they could barely believe. Caitriona Balfe, the award-winning actress behind the beloved Claire Fraser, has officially filed for divorce from her husband Tony McKill. What once looked like a quiet fairy tale of love and devotion has ended in a way that's both shocking and deeply human. The paperwork may look like just another legal formality, but behind those signatures lies a story of disappointment, of betrayal, and ultimately of a woman rediscovering her strength. When Caitriona and Tony first met, their relationship seemed refreshingly private. Far from the flashbulbs of Hollywood, they appeared only at low-key events, a couple defined by quiet affection rather than spectacle. Their 2019 wedding in Somerset was everything fans hoped for: intimate, elegant, and romantic. For many, it felt like the final page of a real-life fairy tale, the moment when everyone finally knew who held Caitriona's heart. But fairy tales fade, and reality, sooner or later, makes its entrance. Over the past year, rumors began to swirl. Insiders whispered of growing distance, of long absences, and of choices that no longer reflected the vows they had once exchanged. Then came Caitriona's recent health struggles, the moment that revealed everything. Because while she faced exhausting hours in the hospital, it wasn't Tony by her side. It was Sam Heughan, her longtime co-star, her trusted confidant, her friend. Meanwhile, Tony's name was being linked to late-night parties and glittering gatherings miles away from the woman he'd promised to love. And when the confirmation came quietly but undeniably, the story broke. Legal papers had been filed. For a woman as private as Caitriona Balfe, the word divorce had always seemed unthinkable, but this time the silence spoke louder than any statement ever could. Filing for divorce is never a spur-of-the-moment decision. It's the result of countless nights of reflection, of tears, shed alone, of finally realizing that love without loyalty is nothing but a shadow. For Caitriona, this wasn't just about walking away from Tony, it was about walking toward herself. If Tony's absence revealed the cracks in their marriage, Sam Heughan's presence revealed something far stronger: loyalty. As Caitriona fought to recover, it was Sam who sat by her side, offering light laughter when the pain grew too heavy and silence when words simply couldn't help. Fans noticed, and soon the internet erupted. Some criticized Tony's indifference, others praised Caitriona's courage. But one thing united them all: admiration for Sam's quiet devotion. This wasn't about romance or scandal. It was about standing by someone when the rest of the world walks away. The news hit social media like thunder. Within hours, hashtags exploded, waves of heartbreak, love, and empowerment flooding the timeline. "I never thought I'd see this day," one fan wrote, "but if this is Caitriona's choice, I support her completely." Another posted bluntly, "She deserved better." But amid the noise, a new tone began to emerge, a chorus of women finding strength in Caitriona's decision. Many shared their own stories of leaving neglectful partners, of reclaiming their dignity. Because in the end, those divorce papers weren't just legal documents. They were symbolic: the closing of one chapter and the opening of another, written in the ink of independence and self-respect. When Caitriona stepped out of her lawyer's office, dressed simply but with her head held high, the world watched in silence. She was no longer the woman quietly enduring disappointment. She was the woman declaring to herself and to the world that she was ready for something better. For longtime fans, the parallels were almost eerie. Just as Claire Fraser fights for her dignity and survival in Outlander, Caitriona Balfe now stands in her own real-life battle. And just like her on-screen counterpart, she doesn't shy away from the pain of truth. This divorce isn't the end of her story, it's the cliffhanger, the dramatic pause before a new chapter begins. Caitriona Balfe has chosen freedom over betrayal, truth over silence, and courage over compromise. The moment those papers were filed, something shifted. For the first time in years, Caitriona was no longer defined by a fading marriage, but by the fire of her own choices. Weeks passed after the announcement, and Caitriona disappeared from the public eye. Those close to her say she spent that time healing body and soul, processing the grief of loss, but also embracing the relief of release. Then came her first public appearance, a charity gala in Dublin. She arrived radiant, not broken, but renewed. Dressed in understated elegance, she smiled for the first time in months, a smile that reached her eyes. Whispers filled the room. She looked lighter, stronger, freer. Across the globe, fans rallied around her. Online spaces flooded with messages, fan art, and tributes to her resilience. She's teaching us that leaving isn't failure, one post read, it's bravery. Caitriona shows that choosing yourself is the most powerful choice you can make. What began as shock and sorrow had transformed into a global celebration of empowerment. And through it all, one constant remained: Sam Heughan. He never spoke publicly about the divorce. Out of respect, he stayed quiet. But those close to the pair say his support never wavered. He was there at quiet dinners, long press days, in small gestures that spoke louder than any words. The tabloids speculated endlessly. Were they more than friends? Was this the beginning of something deeper? But those who truly understood saw something else, the kind of friendship that doesn't fade with gossip, the kind of loyalty that's rare in Hollywood. Professionally, Caitriona poured herself into her work. Back on set, colleagues noticed a transformation. She moved with purpose, spoke with conviction, as if she had turned pain into performance, heartbreak into art. Her upcoming projects began attracting new attention, not just because of her talent, but because of her undeniable strength. In interviews, journalists no longer tiptoed around her personal life. Instead, they celebrated it: the courage, the transparency, the growth. Those closest to her said Caitriona began redefining happiness. No longer chasing perfection, she found peace in the small things: quiet mornings with coffee, long walks through the Irish countryside, laughter shared with friends who'd seen her through the storm. She spoke candidly about what the past year had taught her: that trust, presence, and loyalty are not luxuries but necessities. And soon something remarkable happened. Caitriona Balfe, once just the star of Outlander, became an icon of empowerment. Her story resonated with thousands of women around the world, proof that even the strongest among us can face betrayal, and that walking away is not weakness, it's power. Articles praised her bravery, panels discussed her decision, fans wrote that her story had inspired them to make changes in their own lives. Caitriona Balfe was no longer defined by heartbreak, she was defined by choice. As the dust settled, Caitriona faced the future with quiet determination. Her marriage may have ended, but her story had just begun. At her next red carpet event, she appeared luminous, calm, composed, powerful. Her smile spoke volumes, a smile that carried scars, but also strength. The headlines might scream of scandal, but those who truly listened heard something else: a story of liberation, of courage, of rebirth. And perhaps the most powerful image of all wasn't Caitriona signing those legal papers, but the moment she stepped back into the sunlight afterward, shoulders squared, eyes steady, carrying nothing but her own resolve. Her divorce from Tony McKill wasn't a tragedy, it was a transformation. And with it, Caitriona Balfe reminded the world that sometimes the bravest thing a woman can do is simply say goodbye.